What is contrarian betting? How to use it to your advantage. I'm Joe Duffy, CEO of OffshoreInsiders.com, and we are going to talk about just that, the big edge that contrarian betting offers. It comes down to basically this. Look, I've been in this business literally 30 years as a full-time handicapper and gambler, and about 20 or so years ago on the score phones, worked with a guy who went by the name of Chuck Franklin, and he used to work the other side of the window in Las Vegas, and his favorite gambling story to tell, heard him tell it many times, was when somebody would come up to the window and say, look, you guys are giving away money. I can't believe this line you posted. Why don't you just pay me now? And then that guy, after being a big windbag, would bet like $20 on the game. Well, Chuck would go, as soon as he got off, because you could not bet at a casino in which you worked at, he would just walk down the Vegas Strip, and then he would place a bet on the other side. That is essentially contrarian handicapping at its most basic form. Now, I use contrarian handicapping to say the least, and why does it work? The odds makers, and this is really sports betting 101, odds are not a prediction. It's based on trying to get equal action on each side. So it is a prediction, not on the outcome, but on what the public will be betting on. They know that there are going to be certain teams that are quote-unquote public teams to bet on or bet against, and therefore the line must be over-adjusted. Well, the great equalizer for us, the gambler, is to find out where the public is betting, and then we know the public teams are usually the ones that you want to bet against, or more accurately, the public plays, because the public teams, they could be betting against a certain team, and for the most part, we know the public does like to bet on quality teams and against bad teams. And when you have that information, you can thus have a great handicapping tool. Now, a couple things that are quite important. I consider contrarian handicapping to be important based on the number of bets, not the amount of money bet on a side, but the number of bets. And that goes back to what I just talked about. The best source for contrarian information is the really small bettor, the guy who's betting $10, $20 a game, and during football season, the guy who's betting those $10 and $20 parlay cards. I've also heard in the past, local guys, the corner bookmakers say that's how they make their bets. They will take a consensus of who the very small player is betting on the 4, 5, 16 parlays and then bet the other side. So it comes down to the number of bets, not the amount of money on each side. But also, more importantly, I grade it more on a sliding scale, knowing that the public does like to bet a favorite. Big favorites that are big consensus plays, I don't weigh them as heavily as small favorites that are big consensus, or most importantly, when you have an underdog, when the public is betting on an underdog, that is a strong contrarian play, and you actually want to bet the other way. So if 55% of the public is betting on, we'll say in football, like a 3.5-point underdog, that is equivalent to me of about 78% betting on, say, a 17.5-point favorite. We'll use college football as an example where you're going to see lines like that. You're very rarely going to see that. You're not going to see that in the NFL, but using college football as an example, or if you're using the NFL, say, 75% betting on like a 10.5-point favorite. So I do have a sliding scale where I adjust. If the public is actually betting on an underdog, that is considered to be a very strong consensus play, even if it's in the lower to mid 50 percentile. Now, where do you get this? Where can you, as the gambler, get it? I use a bunch of different sources, and it now has to be corroborated. In the past, I've used only a couple different sources, but now I do find out when all my sources, not just the contacts I've built up over the years, whether it's the local guys, whether it's the Vegas and offshore people, but you can go to, SBR Odds. You probably see my videos with them. They are great. They now have added a consensus to their website, Sports Insights, tremendous pregame. Yeah, competitor of mine as far as whether or not they have good handicappers on the site, whatever, but they do have pretty good consensus/contrarian information. Underdog, a respected guy in the industry, covers, formerly known as Wagerline. Now, a lot of you are going to say, wait a minute, isn't that a contest site? That's not even consensus of real money. Gets back to my point that they are the ultimate squares, people that are trying to play for contest money at sportsbooks. So yeah, even though they may not be betting quote unquote real money there, that is still a gold mine for square moves. Carib Sports. We got this new app out there, BetQL. I'm going to keep a very close eye on that. It's part of the fantasy group where they're also going to have the public information there. And then, as I said, I do have key contacts, and they already know that, the people that send me information, they know that I want to know who the small players are especially betting on. And once though a line does get in, say, maybe, and this is more so college football, but also, college basketball where you have ridiculous point spreads. Once it gets, like in college football, in the mid to upper 20s, then all of a sudden the public does start to go back and they start to say, man, that's so many points. I've got to bet on the underdog. So it gets a little bit hairy once you start talking about a ridiculous line, because, again, then the public all of a sudden says, yeah, maybe I will bet on the underdog. Also, the exception is the postseason in every single sport. Now, again, college football, especially when you get into the bigger bowl games and the playoffs, all of a sudden, though, when it comes to the postseason, the public does like betting on underdogs. But as I said, it might even be more accurate to say that the public prefers to bet on quality teams than it is on favorites. So when you're talking about getting past the first round of, say, the NBA playoffs, you're going to have quality teams and you're going to have hot teams, and that's when the public does start to like to bet on the underdog. So there, I almost go with a straight percentage. There's not really that sliding scale that definitely does exist. Yeah, you could probably say with the professional sports, since there's more action on that, you can get more accurate information. And as I said, again, I do like to use a bunch of different sources. I want it very heavily corroborated. If you do like the videos we give you here at offshoreinsiders.com, please literally like it. If you're on Facebook, or if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you do subscribe. We're simulcast on Periscope. Give us the hearts. And again, we are brought to you not just by offshoreinsiders.com, which is the home of my picks. You can get the best sports picks in the world, not just using contrarian information. To be honest with you, over the years, contrarian information isn't weighed as heavily as it used to be, but it is still phenomenal corroborating information. We're also brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use the promo code Duffy. They'll give you the maximum sign-up bonus that they're giving at the time. Usually, it's at least 50%. So, yeah, that's money that you can spend right away. Again, I use the very basic math. If you deposit $1,000, you have $1,500 that you can bet with right away. They always pay on time. Not just me. You might be like, okay, Joe Duffy, they're going to pay you on time because you have a good relationship with them. No, everyone's got a good relationship. I have had zero complaints. I've sent many customers there over the years, many clients, many viewers, people that aren't necessarily clients of mine, but they watch my videos, listen to my podcast. Maybe they bet on their own. Zero complaints. I even get unsolicited emails every now and then. Somebody will say, everything that you've said about mybookie.ag is true. They always pay me on time. You'll get paid within 48 hours of submitting a request. And now that we have this draconian ban on sports betting lifted, hopefully it'll be even easier than ever. Maybe by the time you watch this, if you're watching this a couple months down the road after I recorded this, you'll be able to send money using any credit card and whatnot. So great changes in the industry ahead, but I've never had any problems with Bitcoin. It shows up in my account immediately. Use the promo code Duffy, D-U-F-F-Y, at mybookie.ag. And please, for the best sports picks, visit offshoreinsiders.com. Feel free to comment and like these videos. But yeah, again, it's not a perfect science when it comes to contrarian handicapping, but use all those sources, as I said, to make sure it's corroborated, and use that sliding scale. 60% of the public betting on a 5-point underdog is not the same as 60% of the public betting on a 12-point favorite. Visit us at offshoreinsiders.com. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you're listening to us on a podcast, give us a 5-star review. And keep watching, keep listening. A lot more winners coming your way.